Folks, I have bad news. Tonight, we have to captain the big dog. More after the jump.
I suffer from a debilitating condition known as atropic shockitis.
Peter's one of the greatest depositors I've ever seen.
Trust the process. Let's go. Let's go.
I got auto matched with Levitan. This is bullshit.
If I just go the other way in that 66, I win all the money. All the money.
If I had 150 lineups, I'd win too.
Process over results.
Illuminati make a bitch go crazy. I don't know which one of these my baby. Bust down AP, crash 5 bullets to your head like KD. Bust it, bitch go bust it. And I had 10 pints with me in Russia.
Hey everyone.
Sir, Josh Reynolds is not even active tonight. It's kind of crazy that Josh Reynolds comes over from the Rams. I thought for sure he was going to be the wide receiver 3 in that offense after Julio and AJ Brown. Can't even make the active roster on game days. I mean, talk about a fall from grace for Josh Reynolds there. Time to win some 6v6s. It's hard to get a 6v6 out of Showdown slate. People want to dupe you on a Showdown slate. Trevor wants AJB captain. We can check that out. Corey, I'm giving up all I know about Showdown to play big dog at captain. Yeah, so I ran the Sims earlier. We'll pull them up here. But I will just say right now, the biggest leverage spot for captain is Derrick Henry. His ownership, captain ownership, is showing up around 12%. And he's showing up in the Sims around 18%. So, this isn't like a full-on 2x leverage situation, but it's a pretty nice leverage spot. The other guy next there, well, no one's going to captain Jeremy McNichols, but he's showing less than 1% captain ownership, showing up in the Sims 3% of the time. No Darrington Evans tonight. Josh Allen actually showing up in the Sims a little bit more than his captain ownership as well. He's showing up 22% of the time. As far as the flex, Jeremy McNichols showing up in the sim 29% of the time. I'm seeing his average ownership around 10 or 11%. That looks pretty nice. And Isaiah McKenzie kind of coming out of nowhere as well. I think is going to catch really low ownership in the 4 to 5% range. He's showing up in 14% of the sims. There are your leverage plays. Let's check this out. We can mess around with this a little bit. You can see I was messing around with this earlier. We do have a 6-point spread here. Vegas expects the away Buffalo Bills to win by 6 points. We do have a very nice implied team total here, over under of 53.5. Let's run these sims. You guys can see what I have been seeing tonight. I'm playing a single entry contest, and I got in those 20 max streets. I decided to get in the 20 max streets tonight. You can see some of what I was seeing there. Josh Allen showing up 23% of the time in the captain spot. Derrick Henry, 18.4%. And then Diggs at 11%. AJ Brown at 8.7%. One thing that's, I think, interesting to me is I think we're all still working through this idea of, holy cow, Derrick Henry now catches passes. Where I think initially or in previous years, the issue would be, oh my God, they're 6-point, underdogs. What happens if the Bills get up 10 points? They're boat racing them. Derrick Henry comes off the field and he flops. But now Derrick Henry's catching passes. So these game script concerns are less of an issue here for Derrick Henry, which I do think makes him a pretty good captain play. And the fact that he's only going to be around 12 to 13% in the captain slot, and he's showing up here 18% of the time. I think with the Josh Allen stuff, he is going to be, he's just a solid play. The field is using him at a pretty good clip. I think this is a smidge high for captain ownership. I think he'll be more in the 20 to 23% range. And then his captain optimal frequency about 23%. So Josh Allen's a fine play, just not getting much leverage on the field there with Josh Allen. We can check out what some of these lineups are looking like. I have noticed with the Sims, lots of 5-1 onslaughts in both directions, depending on what kind of inputs I have, which I always like when the Sims are pushing us to those 5-1 constructions. I think they're just naturally a little bit more contrarian. The fellas over at ETR actually have a really cool new feature on their article that Cody Main added. I saw him tweeting about this and showing the different projections for roster construction. And I won't give that away. That's their stuff to share. You guys should be subscribing to establish the run to get that. But generally the 3-3s and the 4-2s in favor of the favored team are the most popular. In getting to those 5-1s and specifically 1-5s are where you're going to get the most amount of leverage. So you can see, right here, this second most frequented lineup here, Derrick Henry captain, Randy Bullock, Ryan Tannehill, AJ Brown, Julio Jones, and a Cole Beasley one-off. So a 5-1 with the underdog. Not only is that a super unique construction, and this is one where I actually think we need to kind of IKB relative to the product owned, because generally we'd see 280.5 and be like, wow, that's too much product owned for, small field or single entry type contests. We're going to be duped, yada, yada. But I think with this specific construction, a 1-5 with a captain underdog and heavy on the underdog is going to make this relatively unique. There's another one right underneath it, a Derrick Henry with Josh Allen instead of Cole Beasley. And then you have Ferkser and Jeremy McNichols in here instead of AJ Brown and Julio Jones. So there's some interesting constructions that the Sims are pointing us to tonight. And I think it's also in general kind of pointing us to value on the Titans side of the ball. You can see another one right here, a Ryan Tannehill, Jeff Swaim, Jeremy McNichols, AJ Brown, Derrick Henry with just Josh Allen coming back. So man, if you're trying to get unique and you have the backing of these simulations to kind of support you, that the math checks out, to me, that's a really good spot to be in here on this slate, just because I do think so many people will be building 4-2 Bills lineups, just wanting to play it that way. Let's see here. What am I missing on Isaiah McKenzie tonight? I don't know. He's cheap. He's $300. They use him in a gadget type role, and he's explosive and fast. So he's the exact kind of, in the same way, if you play, a backup tight end on Showdown and you're just hoping to get that one touchdown. I mean, that's the thing with Isaiah McKenzie. With one touch, he can pay off his salary. So, I mean, I'm not running over here to grab my flag to plant it in the ground on Isaiah McKenzie, but I certainly get the thesis of the play here. Pete, we need your thoughts on the Moss. Let's see what the math says on the Moss. Looks like a solid play here. Not a huge captain play, which makes sense to me. I don't see Zach Moss as a guy that has a huge ceiling, just the way that this backfield operates and the way that this offense operates. But he is appearing in the flex spot 25% of the time, and his flex rostered percentage here is only at 16.8%. So I go and I look at my stuff here, and he's actually showing decent flex leverage. The 4 top that I'm seeing relative to how often they appear in the Sims versus projected ownership: Jeremy McNichols, huge leverage; Isaiah McKenzie, decent leverage; Ryan Tannehill and Zach Moss, some okay leverage there as well. Zach Moss, average ownership 22%, appearing in the Sims about 25% when I had pulled it earlier. Yep, 25.8%. So I think Zach Moss is a good play. I think if you are playing this as the Bills getting up early, I think Zach Moss is a good play. I mean, I'm tailing the guys over at Bet the Prop on an under on Josh Allen's pass completions. And we've seen it this year where the Bills are actually taking the foot off the gas a little bit in blowouts. Josh Allen isn't getting there from a pass attempt and a completion standpoint, and Zach Moss is getting some more carries. So I think as long as you're being smart about the kind of construction and the story your lineup is telling with Zach Moss, I think it's perfectly viable. One other thing I wanted to show you guys is Derrick Henry is popping as a good captain play, assuming this game goes how Vegas predicts it to go. So what happens if we actually flip it? What if we make the Bills lose? What if the Titans win at home? They're able to just control this, and it's actually 30-23. We basically flip it, and we boost the Titans rush rate a little bit. I think they'd be up here a little higher if they're controlling the game. And then let's bring down the Bills pass rate or rush rate just a bit if they're trailing. And we run the Sims in this scenario. What if Vegas is wrong? What if the Titans kind of control this game, which we know that would not be crazy if they do. All of a sudden, we have Derrick Henry showing up here as the optimal captain 25% of the time, almost double anyone else. Josh Allen, Tannehill, Diggs, all in that 11 to 13% range. And we know his ownership is going to be coming in at around 12%. So to me, Derrick Henry feels a lot like Fournette felt on Thursday night, where it was like, no matter how you run the Sims, Derrick Henry seems to be finding a way to end up in these lineups. And it makes sense. It makes sense to me why that would be the case, just with his new role and the fact that he's less game script dependent now. So in all of these situations that I ran it, Bills winning as Vegas predicts, the Titans winning at home, and in really low scoring games, Derrick Henry is showing up a ton in captain. Now, he's not showing a ton of leverage from a flex perspective. His flex ownership and looks pretty efficient to me. I'm seeing about 40% combined flex ownership, and he's showing up in the Sims about 42% of the time in the flex spot. So if you're using him in the flex, I think you're just kind of matching the field, and it's a solid play. But where you're actually getting the leverage is at captain, because so much of the field is going to want to use Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, Ryan Tannehill, AJ Brown. Not so much Ryan Tannehill, sorry. Allen, Diggs, AJ Brown, I think are all going to be fairly popular captains as well. But Henry is where we are getting our leverage tonight from the captain spot. Brandon wants to know, how is this not a Diggs eruption spot? I hope it is. It certainly could be. I mean, he certainly feels due for a big game. When I'm talking through this, as you can tell, I'm not editorializing over who I think is going to have a big game. When I'm viewing this through the lens of the Sims, I'm saying, how do we get paid off when we are right? And if we roster someone that the field is also rostering at the same clip, well, now we are just playing a 5v5 with their showdown lineups. Whereas if we're playing Derrick Henry in the captain slot, and the narrative and the inputs we're playing for show him appearing 25% of the time in the captain slot, 1 out of every 4 times Derrick Henry is the optimal captain, and the field is only playing him at a rate that he's the optimal captain 1 out of every 8 times, that's where we really get paid off when we're right. So that's how I'm thinking about these things. But I'm with you. I mean, I love AJ Brown tonight. I love Stephon Diggs. Those are 2 of my favorite players. They have immense ceilings. And you have my blessing to play them. You're just not getting leverage on what the field is doing. Liam says, Pete, what are your favorite player props tonight? Yeah, I bet a few player props tonight. Like I said, I did bet the under on Josh Allen pass completions. I also put in an underdog pick'em. I am running a little hot on these guys. I have won my past 2 pick'ems here. Where's the one I put in today? I did Derrick Henry over 16.5 receiving yards, which, again, I think in this game script, if we are projecting them to lose, I think that's a pretty attainable number. I was looking at it on a few other sports books, and it was getting steamed all the way up to minus 150 on the over 16.5. So I liked locking in the over there. And then I also took Emmanuel Sanders under 59.5. The Run the Sims prop tool had his median receptions at 46 yards here. Also, if we're on Team Diggs eruption spot, I seem to like the under here for Emmanuel Sanders, who I think is just performing slightly above expectation. I posted that link in the chat if you guys want to tail me, although I should check and see if the line has changed on this at all since I bet it earlier this morning. Is this even working? Let's see here. They might have. Did that get pulled? It might have got pulled. Let's see here. What do we have, Emmanuel Sanders? Oh, it's up to 61.5. So you can actually get a better line than I did. I took it under at 59.5. You can get it at 61.5. And what about my Derrick Henry? Okay, they did move the line in that direction up to 20.5. So if you want to tail me, you can get a better number on Emmanuel Sanders, but you're getting a worse number on Derrick Henry. But in general, I'm liking kind of the Bills passing game unders, and I like a lot of the Titans passing game overs there. Let's see here. Brandon says Soccer Dave is getting a DQ blizzard and watching from the Peloton. One of those things is probably true, Brandon. Only one of them. Who do you like more out of Rodgers, Ferkser, Rodgers, or McNichols? I like McNichols. I mean, McNichols, what was it? Just a couple of games ago that he had, what was it? 8 targets? Let me pull this up. It was against the Jets. He had 12 targets and 8 receptions in a very close game that they lost 27-4. So, and then in week 1 was the last time they got blown out. They got blown out by Arizona 38-13. He had 4 targets in that game. So if you're assuming a negative game script for the Titans, which I think is a safe assumption going against the Bills, 6-point underdogs, I mean, Jeremy McNichols, like, he's going to get 4 to 5 targets with upside for more. So at 4,500 at relatively low ownership, I really like Jeremy McNichols at 3,000. I'm just double checking the ownership here again. ETR has it at about 11%. Osmo had it around 11%, and he's showing up in the Sims 30% of the time. So that's a really nice play to me. Everything kind of lines up for Jeremy McNichols being a good play. I like it a lot. Brandon, you want me to get in the weeds on cornerback matchups? Is Tre'Davious going to be on AJ? I have no fucking clue, dude. No fucking clue. Should I be worried? Is that what you're saying, Brandon? I should be worried? I don't think I'm worried, but maybe I should be worried. Didn't you play Sanders as the captain with Spags? Yeah, Spags put in Sanders as the captain. Did you watch the show? I didn't want to do it. That was the one play I didn't want to make. But sometimes you do a show and you have to support your co-host. But between you and me, Beachhead, I do not want Emmanuel Sanders in my captain slot tonight. Yeah, I think you can play Henry and McNichols lineups together. I don't imagine a lot of hand builders are going to want to do that. People reflexively in Showdown don't like to play 2 running backs from the same backfield. But I think it's not crazy to envision scenarios where both Derrick Henry and Jeremy McNichols have good games. And Jeremy McNichols really only needs to catch five or so balls to pay off his price tag at 3,000. All right, guys, let's check on some of these lineups here. This is in the scenario where we change the input to the Titans winning. And I just wanted to check the texture of these lineups here. Titans winning again, a lot of 5-1s. Here's another onslaught. Tannehill, Jeremy McNichols, AJ Brown, Derrick Henry, Julio Jones with Cole Beasley coming back. I mean, that's a fun lineup. If you want to play the Titans winning this, here's a 5-1. Here's another 5-1. Or no, sorry, this is a 4-2. This is another solid 4-2. Cole Beasley captain with Josh Allen and Diggs and Isaiah McKenzie. And then you have 2 grown-ass men coming back, AJ Brown and Derrick Henry. Here's another 5-1. AJ Brown captain, Derrick Henry, Diggs, Tannehill, Ferkser, McNichols. I mean, that's a fun lineup too. So I absolutely love the fact that the Sims are giving us a lot of these 5-1 onslaughts tonight. I think you play your lineups that way. It gives you the most leverage. The math is supporting you. The Sims really like these 5-1 onslaughts. Here's another one. Tannehill, Derrick Henry, AJ Brown, Jeremy McNichols, Jeff Swaim, Josh Allen. You can mix and match these onslaughts how you like. Here's another one, the 1-5 onslaught. Derrick Henry, captain, McKenzie, Allen, Diggs, Beasley, Singletary. I love these lineups. These are very fun lineups. We run the Sims 10,000 times. All of these 5-1s showing up with the highest frequency of these lineups. But remember, this is under the assumption that the Titans win this game. That was the input I had messed with. But we also saw something similarly when we ran it with just the baseline inputs of the Bills winning. So that would be my recommendation for tonight. Play these 5-1s, these 1-5s. I think it's a really easy way to get unique, and you have the math supporting you. I think you bite the bullet and you play a decent amount of Derrick Henry in the captain slot. I think you can play Derrick Henry and Jeremy McNichols together. I think that's viable. And of course, you have my blessing to play Stephon Diggs and A.J. Brown as captains. They are grown-ass men who are always capable of going off. I appreciate you guys hanging out tonight. Good luck with your lineups. If you guys want to hop into the Deposit Kingdom Discord, I should have the link for the Week 7 Listener League soon. I will be posting that first in the Discord, so it's first come, first serve, and it filled this past week by Friday evening. So you snooze, you lose on the rake-free Listener League. You can subscribe to Run the Sims if you want to mess with these Sims throughout the day on your own. If you want to get in that player prop tool, that's what I've been having a ton of fun with in the mornings before these island games, going through the Run the Sims player prop tool and then comparing them to the lines on the sports books, on Underdog, picking off the pick'ems before you get a lot of line movement like that. So highly recommend Run the Sims. You get 10% off with promo code Pete. Also gets you access to the private channel in the Deposit Kingdom Discord. If you have questions, you can always ask me about those. Good luck tonight, guys. Enjoy the big dog winning us all the money.